At hello, hello. Hi, everybody joining us. Welcome back. Hope you've been loving MTP Live. We've been connecting with such wonderful people. And they're all people that are a part of the Melrose Trading Post and Greenway Arts Alliance community. And so it's really cool to get to connect with all of you here. Now that for safety purposes, of course. But we're bringing on Christina next. All right, looks like we're going to be connecting.
Hi!
All right, let me put up your company name here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So can you
Yeah,
tell us who you are?
okay, so I am along Highway 62 here in Joshua Tree, and behind me here, you might be able to see snow on San Jacinto Mountain, but maybe not. Let me see. Oh, there's signs everywhere. But it's a beautiful day in the desert. It's warm and there are tons of flowers. Let me see, I can show you the flowers. Not me. There. Okay. So, yeah, so the yellow ones are desert dandelions. And please don't ask me about any other flowers. And then there are creosote, some of the chaparral herbs here, and they're very, very good for the airways right now in pandemic time. It feels good to walk around them here, and there are some trees in the desert. So we are on our way home. This is Eagle, one of my 4 Spanish greyhounds, and I couldn't take all 4 of them because I'm a Gemini, and 4 dogs and 1 iPhone and trying to connect live, that would just a little disaster in the waiting. So
That
we're
would be
about
fun.
we're about a minute away from home. You see the mountains behind me here. It's just called Coyote Hole Canyon, and it's full of pictographs from mostly serranos, I think, but there are some of my recent inspiration because we got so much time to take walks suddenly. So they're beautiful.
So
Yeah.
have you been putting some of the pictographs you see on wreaths? Are you designing?
I'm I'm just starting to do that. I realized that, I mean, to me, I go like, oh, that looks like a little girl with a squirt gun, and I go like, did I have squirt guns? So I want to, before I put the symbols on, I want to be a little bit more sure about what they are. And there are not many petroglyphs. The petroglyphs are the ones that have been stabbed into the stone, so they can be on granite. But the pictographs are being more carved into sandstone, so they are softer and younger. So maybe 300 years, I can understand they are. So, but it's amazing. I'll send you some pictures later.
Yeah.
But we're almost home, and I can take off this thing because I'm dying here.
How hot
And
is it there, Yvonne?
yeah, there's like no people to be infected by or infect. So this is good. So this is where I live. It's just a tiny little home. This is my truck. His name is Thor. And he takes me to Melrose Trading Post every Sunday. We leave around 4 o'clock. And these are not my dogs. My dogs never bark. And this is Arthur the tree, Arthur Ash, and
Oh,
he's a blue ash. They're most common in the desert. And here is my show gear, Big Cry. They usually it's my boot and everything like that. And before we go in, I should show you. This is where I fire my silver. This is the kiln. So it's a tiny kiln, and it goes up to like about 2000 degrees Fahrenheit.
oh wow.
And yeah, and I use it, and it is small and cracked, but you can see there's a little ceramic plate in it. I fired it just just an hour ago so I could show you what I'm doing. So I'm not going to touch anything. I've gone wiser than that. So let's say hi to let me see. All right, here we go. Here are the rest of them. So these are Spanish greyhound. They're called galgos. They're rescued from Spain. So they flew to New York from Spain about 2 years ago. They are used for hunting and then unfortunately killed or gotten rid of. So so they are all rescues. This is a, oh, don't do that. The headset, that's Darcy. This is special. This is Adele. She was lost in Hollywood. I think she went chased by police on Rodeo Drive. So she went just out for the good shopping. So, and this is Darcy. The elevator doesn't go quite up for this one, but he has a heart of gold. And there's this Elfin. She's a little firecracker. She got in trouble, but we know better now. And this is Eagle, my beautiful one. Let me just take off your color here, and then I can show other things. Okay, and take off my hat and my glasses. All right. Okay. Okay, so what would you like me to do? Should I tell you a little bit about my process?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, I happen to have prepared just that. How lucky we are. So what happens is that my business is called Esmeralda Designs. And let me see here. I am working, I can't even turn the phone around here to show me. Oh, well, anyway. Yeah, this is good for showing stuff. So I learned, I started my company back in 2005, 2006, because I learned that one gold ring from the mind to the fingers for one little ring is 5 tons of waste, which is ridiculous. So it takes a lot of energy, of course, to mine the gold, and it's not like anything Irish leprechaun. It's just not found by the end of the rainbow, but deep into the mountains in ores, and it's very messy, using a lot of nasty chemicals too, mercury, and there hasn't been a lot of legislation to repair the land afterwards. So there's a lot of sores. If you drive through Colorado, you see old mines, for instance, and it doesn't look so pretty. So I found out that there is a method that was recently discovered way back then, that you can recycle gold from silver and also gold from electronics. So the silver is recycled as tiny, tiny particles called nanoparticles from cell phones and computers, and mixed with 1% cellulose, and I sculpt them. So I sit and work like this. This is a Teflon surface, and this is a mandrel. Because when you make a ring for someone, it's very good if it happens to fit them, because they're much more likely to be happy that way. Even though I always say, wear your jeans tight and your rings loose, maybe not that loose. So the silver is a clay and is extremely sticky. So I use a little strip of Teflon, and anyone who's painted, and this is the masking tape. So I put it on here and a sculpturing on top of that. So I'm going to show you 2 projects that I just finished. This is for a customer that was locked up with 4 children at the lake right now. So she asked me to make a piece, said "Howl to the Moon" with the citrine, because she was going just a little crazy. So her name is Debbie. She's lovely, and she lives in Sherman Oaks normally. And she's met me at the Melrose, and she loved there. And she's going to take her children there too when all this is over. And I call this project "The Dark Side of the Moon" because I listen to music when I make my things. So this is the pendant, and it's just been fired, so it doesn't look anything ready yet. But here is the pendant, and there's a space for the stone to be set there. And I haven't darkened the text, but it says "Howl to the Moon." And the little stone she's going to use is a citron. So here's the citron. It's going to be set in there. And then a ring for her. It hasn't been adjusted or tapered yet. But this is her little wolf. Yeah, so it's hand cut. So this is the way I will also use the pictograph. I also have a collaboration with a company in San Diego run by people with cystic fibrosis, and they make molds, like rubber molds, so I can send them a graphics. And so I can make a petroglyph graphics, and it's really nice. And they send me back the stamping because when I finished sculpting, and I use a food dehydrator. Anyone who's been doing raw foods and things know about these things to dry out apples and things. And I have exactly one of those, like $40 on eBay things. And so this is when the clay has been dried in before firing. And this is another project I let's see, for Tabata. Tabata loves dragons. And I have a pet dragon. His name is Weddle. I'm actually wearing one of his rings there. I can only sculpt dragons before they hit puberty, because otherwise they start to spit fire. So I get like really hot stuff, which is not so good. And this is going to be Tabata's ring here with Weddell. You can see the difference in the clay before it's fired and afterwards. In the firing, I take the temperatures up to more than 1,000 Fahrenheit. In that process, the silver is sintering, meaning that it starts to vibrate like before the Terminator is going down to the asphalt and melts into the puddle. So the little holes that were previously the cellulose is now solid again, solid silver. So it becomes this beautiful shiny silver when it's done. And then my most favorite product, and I can see she's on now, my beautiful, amazing, talented writer, journalist friend, Kathleen Falsani, or God Girl. So she is an amazing writer. She writes sometimes for you too. She has published at least 4 books, and one of them is coming on. Hi, Kathleen. And so she is very connected to Ireland, which is the motherland. But so she wanted me to make her a ring that will say in Latin, "Do not worry, but look for the light." So it's from, oh gosh, me and pronunciations, by Seamus Heaney, the Irish poet that passed away in 2013, I believe. It was his last word to his wife. He texted, says, "Noli timere," means do not be afraid. So it's saying there, and the other one, lux in tenebris lucet, means look for the light. So this is the ring I'm making for Kathleen. It's not been exactly ready yet, but I'm starting to fill in here. You can see. Yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be so cool. She's it's such an honor to connect with people, and I think that's one of my biggest joy as an artist, that for instance, I meet someone at Melrose Trading Post, and either they see a ring I already made, but it doesn't fit them, and I can make it in their size, or they have a stone and they want me to set it, or also they have a wild dream, and it is fun either way. And we talk about, what they want the ring to do for them. Is it going to be a ring to hang on for dear life kind of ring, or a ring to commemorate a very good or a very bad year? Or I can even take heirloom gold. I have worked with Celtic metalsmith in Ardevor in New York, that he will cast a ring I sculpt in their own gold. So if you have, like Auntie Nicolette passed away in the 80s, and she left her DeLorean and wild shoulder pad and her ginormous gold chain to you. So I can be melted down and become one of your pieces. So that's it. So once I fired it, the things, I tumble them. This is a very tiny little tumbler. You can see there are 2 rings there for a customer, and they look like this after they are tumbled and before the stones are set. And this is the food dehydrator and the little tally tumbler. So I work extremely small. I mean, this is not a permanent home yet. So once I have that, I will also invite people from Melrose Trading Clothes to come up to me here in Joshua Tree and take classes and learn to make your own pendant or ring. Yeah, so these are some of the rings I've set stone in, and this one is very beautiful. This is, yeah, this is called golden needle rutilated quartz. So it's from a beautiful area in Brazil, from an area which has silver mine called Minas Gerais. And so it's spears of titanium dioxide into this quartz. It's so cool. So and then I also work on forming metal, recycled metal. You can see that been into wires, and I make earrings and things out of them, like that, hammer them. And these are tiny little rings. People in LA, very different from New York, are very minimalistic in their designs that they like to wear. So I have a lot of skinny little rings too.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's
all your tools and everything. That is amazing.
yeah, and I just made this one because we all need crystals these days to hold on to something. So it's a piece of crystal quartz, and I get and what I'm love about Melrose Trading Post. I used to do a very similar show in New York called the Grand Bazaar, and it was much smaller. It was set on a school ground and about 100 vendors. But it was the same purpose. It was started more than 40 years ago, and the spot I used to have there, I had a picture, a customer gave it to me. Andy Warhol was standing in that very spot in 1980 something. It was very cool. Yeah. So, but it's been a very, it was very fun, but the winters weren't so fun. And then one of the other artists there, it became too expensive for her to live in New York. She lived in Brooklyn, and so she had family in LA. So she was going to go there and fly back to New York once a week to sell her art. And I thought, this is madness. So I decided to uninvited, I gave her some advice. I said, can't you find some good show in LA? Because I've lived in Southern California before, but it was closer to, it was in San Diego area. So it wasn't the same energy when it comes to the art and the cool things. So I knew very little. So I went in and I found the Melrose Trading Post. As things go in the world, of course, she ended up moving back to Thailand instead and flying back to New York for a few months a year. And she never came to Melrose, but I did. So I decided 2 years ago that this is exactly where I want to be. So I sold what I had in New York and loaded my 4 dogs into my really old Toyota Land Cruiser that had almost 300,000 miles to it at that point, and drove over, and by sheer luck we made it all the way. And then I spent the time doing Airbnb Russian roulette, and I thought to end up in LA in an eco park, but that's not what happened. So I ended up in the middle of the desert. I mean, I lived by water all my life, so you can only imagine this thing. And my dogs go, what the heck happened? And suddenly they were like indoor dogs panting in front of the air conditioning. But I mean, I'm happy to be here.
Is there any way you can flip the camera around so we can see you?
How do I do that? Do I hit the little...
On the bottom right, there's like 2 little arrows in a circle.
Yeah, there was that before, but they're not there anymore. So now I'm worried. What will happen? There's only given me a chance to, if I hit the little X, if I disappear, you might, let me see. No, not leaving, cancel. I'm not doing that. Can I just, what the heck? I am so sorry. Technology does not like me. I don't know. Should we, I mean, if I go on the other side, on like this, can you see me now? I just flip my phone around.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, that works. Okay.
I'll let you know if
In
we get any cute comments to respond to. So send in
no,
your comments.
no. Okay, here I am. So I I wanted to say it's such a great opportunity to be at Melrose, and the way my business has changed a lot. I mean, overnight, I think it was the 14th of March or so, I did my very last exhibit. I had 3 shows a week, Melrose Trading Post, Palm Springs Village Fest, and the Joshua Tree Farmers Market, and it went to a screeching halt, and that was interesting. So, of course, we've been given Melrose Trading Post have been an only event that reached out and tried to figure out how to handle this. And we've been having weekly Zoom meetings and also a business consultant, and it's been super helpful. And also, I mean, I was saying before, I speak dog most of the week because I don't see so many people now with the installation and everything we are. So it's been also a social, like dessert socially. It's so much fun to connect and learning a little bit more about technology and how to market online. And I'm working on putting up a Shopify site, but for now I have my Etsy shop. So I wanted to say that for anyone who likes to check out my art, the Instagram is very good because you can see the largest, the width of the designs there, and a little bit what's happening with me and my dogs and our the pictographs in the desert. But in the Etsy shop, there are a few of the largest rings and many of the smaller rings listed. And you can enter the code I love MTP for a 25% discount
Oh,
into my
wow.
Etsy shop. Yeah, and I emailed you the link, Natalie, because I didn't know how to put it up there for
Yeah.
you. But it's valid from now until right after Mother's Day, I think around the 10th. So please go ahead and try that if you like and see if there's something you love.
Yeah, so that's etsy.com slash
Yeah.
shop slash Esmeralda Designs. I'll put
Yeah,
that online here.
that's great. Yeah, and you can see in your email also that the link should be there if you want to do click and pasty things.
Yeah. And so the link that she's talking about has the coupon code in it already. So I'm going to try to get it up here for all of you. Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and so let's see. It'll take me just a second to get it up here. But yeah, is there like talking about the things that we've been able to do to reach out with our vendors, it has been very fun doing all these things because I know myself, Patrick, and our staff, we miss the market, of course, as well. And, it's really like we're there every Sunday and now we're not all of a sudden. So,
Yeah.
you know, we really do miss it. And those Zoom calls really are amazing. It's like, it's so nice to be able to see you guys, see each other, and it really, I'd say it's helped me a lot as far as like just making sure, that we're focused on uplifting our vendors and listening to our vendors, but also just to see the people that we love and get to see every week. It's really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's been marvelous. And also here in the desert, I mean, people are a little bit different here because we have only like 4 ICU beds in the whole high desert area. So, and they closed the park for that reason because they were afraid that a lot of people would come and there wouldn't be care enough for everybody or food. So this is usually the busiest time of the year. I mean, there's thousands of people here every weekend, mostly from LA. And so there are so little people, and you know how it is in store. People give dirty looks if you don't have like a face mask on. So people are keeping the distance.
Yeah, I imagine, the desert, everything is spread out already. So it's probably a little isolating too.
It
And
is. I mean, but the most beautiful things happen. I mean, the nature, because of the heavy rains we had, it's earlier and it's so abundant. I mean, all the cactuses are, cacti are bloom, and so many animals. There are lizards, and I mean, the snakes are coming up. I haven't seen anyone, but there are snake catchers in action. I can follow around on next door. And I mean, it is crazy with the little people. So much things are allowed to just do their thing. They're little bunnies and coyotes. They're like National Geographic TV live here every minute. Instead of lions and hyenas and antelopes, we have coyotes and bunnies.
yeah, those bunnies get pretty big. I've seen some
Oh,
out
oh boy, yeah. There's like the jackrabbit hares. I mean, they're almost as large as my smallest dog. It seems. I only see them running really fast at the distance.
there. And how has it been being in Joshua Tree, and kind of having to, isolate, but then also getting to explore the technology side of things?
Oh, it's been a little bit, challenging would be a good word, I think. It is, when it's very windy here, as the Wi-Fi reception goes down to very bad, from bad to very bad. So it's been like some of the Zoom calls also are, like suddenly I can't get the good connection. So it's
Mm.
been trying to work up my business a little bit more online has been a good nudge for me to do, because I think you need these days a platform where, if even if you do interact with customers, which has been my main part of selling the last few years, you also need for people to be able to follow up in the peace and the quiet of their own home, because it can get overwhelming, especially since some of my rings can be a little pricey if you expect to spend $20 at the Melrose Post for some delicious food and something to drink, and suddenly you see a ring that's almost $200. It's not exactly, sometimes you need to prepare yourself and think what matters to you. I have one customer like that now, Ernest. He came by with his girlfriend a few times to my booth at Melrose and bought little tiny rings for the girlfriend, and she loved them. And he reached out to me now to find if we could get a ring for her, but he didn't know her size. So as we were talking and I was showing what I had, he decided to get the necklace for himself. And then he came back and said, "Ooh, I saw on your Instagram feed this amazing ring that has emerald and sapphire in." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "I would like one of those. Can you make it?" And I was thinking, this is going to be a big shock. So I told him how much it was going to be, and that I, I would work with him. And he said, well, maybe over time. He's an insurance broker, and their business is not very much happening right now either. But for the long term, maybe this can happen.
Hmm.
So
That is
it's
beautiful, but the sometimes you need like a little yes, like a little something that's easy to say yes to, and then someone can like, dream a little and think about what else they can do, what's the next thing. And I love that you can like the things that you make and the way that you make them give you the flexibility to make whatever someone can dream up. I
Oh
love that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And even, I mean, I've done people to come to my studio and put their own
Hmm.
fingerprints either into the clay, or I give them a two-component silicone, it's like a white and pink part that I mix together, and I can reversely press that into my silver so they can have their fingerprint if they want to have a commemoratory piece, or a paw print from an animal if they want to have, the cat paw or something like that. So it's a very fluid material to work. It's pure sculpture and it's totally one of a kind. Normally when you buy a ring, in a store, it's been cast. It was made a mold of it, and many were made. So there are like hundreds and thousands of a kind, which is a beautiful thing. But these rings are in the moment. They're made right now, and are made with material that connect us to society. We're part of instruments of communication. The company I get the silver from says that it takes about 100 cell phones, silver from 100 cell phones, because it's part of, the little microchips, the electronics. So it's very little in each phone. So about 100 phone goes into each ring.
Wow. Wow. And so, and what other metals do you work with?
Oh yeah, so I work also with recycled gold, which is crazy expensive. Gold prices are now at an all-time high, for some silly reason, but the recycled gold, because of it is expensive to retrieve it, from where it is, because both silver and gold have extremely good conductivity. So that's why they are in the electronics, that you can get current over a very small area with very little interference. So I work with those, and I also work in gold fill now. So it's silver basically underneath, and then heavily plated, much heavier than gold plated, with either rose gold or yellow gold in 10 to 22 carats. I work with those. I work sometimes in bronze and in copper too, but more often I try to work in the metals which I can hand sculpt. And the only thing that the common denominator, they're all recycled, always. And so are my stones. They're all fair trade. So they're not blood diamonds if I work with the diamonds. And they are from mines, as far as I can ascertain, through the lapidary artists, that their mines transition to at least fair trade, uh, in most cases.
Wow. I didn't realize how far you go with your materials to really like put your ethical stamp on it as far as like how you're sourcing everything. It's really inspiring that you go so far to make sure that you're not leaving a footprint with these pieces, that they're actually just all recycled, all repurposed goods.
Yeah, and if I work like the tiny rings, sometimes I get them from a refinery die struck, meaning like pressed out in a certain shape. But
Mhm.
for me, it is, like, it's important to me that my customer knows that it is an ethical purpose with my business, because there are so many people making jewelry because we embellish ourselves through the time. It's important, but for me, I come from both an art and a scientific background, and knowing all the things that happens to the earth with mining for metals or gemstones, and also the people part, the human exploiting of humans beings. For me, I would like to avoid that. And I
Mhm.
don't know, it's like redecorating your home. You realize, oh, I wonder if my wrapping paper, my gift bags, where are they from now? The material has to be, eco-friendly and organic. But it is, it's a concept. And through the years since I started my company, it's becoming more and more common. And I find a lot of the vendors on Melrose trading posts are very ethically savvy, and
I love that you
it
say
makes me
that.
so
I
happy.
think we might be losing our connection.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.